start on one end. And let's start to work just a little bit through the feet. I'm just going to kind of lift and lower, up and down. Think of like calf work on our reformer. I'm going to try to feel all 10 metatarsals. So, 5 on my right, 5 on my left. I'm going to think that I'm rolling straight up through center. So careful not to like drop to the pinky side of my foot or only like go knock knee to the middle, but lift and lower just a little bit. Let's do 4 more. I'm starting to feel a little heat up the back of my legs, kind of warming that up. 3. Last 2. And 1. Go ahead, settle your feet, circle the arms all the way up. Let's take a big morning stretch. And then dive forward and start to lift the front of your body. And I want you to feel like you're like curling up and over like a big beach ball. Maybe your knees start to bend just a little bit because I just don't want you to lock them out. Give a little bend to those knees. Maybe your hands or maybe just like my fingertips right now are touching. I'm going to bend my knees to try to like place my hands down onto the mat so that I almost feel like now I'm like sitting in a chair almost. Now lift your stomach and really feel like you're going to round through your spine. Start to press your legs straight, but don't come all the way up, right? Inhale to bend. And exhale, lift and feel almost like you're trying to lift your stomach off of your quads and bend. I'm deepening a stretch through my hamstrings, getting a little bit of a stretch even through my adductors. Woo, feels really good. Last one. Exhale, lift your stomach. Inhale to bend. Now we're going to start to lift our stomach and slowly press ourselves all the way back up. And I'm going to keep a little bend in my knees. And I'm going to try to press my pelvis forward so that my spine feels like it's pressing back. Circle the arms up and dive forward. Melting towards your mat. Lift your stomach. Feel almost like the inside of your leg line is pulling up. From the arches of your feet all the way to your abs. Take your inhale. Let's bend the knees to soften. Your left hand is going to come in front, so like it's in the middle. Draw your right hand towards your heart and stretch your right arm up. I'm going to try to straighten my right leg and start to bend my left knee just a little bit, rotating. And then bend. Both hands come back down. Right hand lowers. Left hand pulls you up, rotating you to the left. Soft bend in your right knee, try to straighten your left. And then back down. Bend and inhale. Start to flow just a little bit through this rotation. And move with your breathing. Inhale and stretch. And exhale, bend. Let's do once more each way. Inhale. And exhale, bend. My quads are starting to heat up. Inhale. And exhale, bend. Slowly lift your stomach. Start to press your spine back and bring yourself all the way back. Maybe release those shoulders back and down. Give a little plie. Let's walk towards the middle of our mat. So standing into the middle of our mat, we're actually going to move into a standing saw. So again, it's still warming up just a little bit. Open your arms out to a T. And what I want you to do is start to actually lunge over towards your right. Now let's turn our body towards the right, but can you feel that your left foot is still very much down? Now press into your right leg, bring it all the way back to center. Inhale to the left. Exhale to twist. Notice that you are still connected to your right foot. And then press it all the way back up. Good. Inhale to the right. Exhale to twist. And then inhale all the way back up and to the left. And exhale to twist. And then push into that leg, bring it all the way back up, adding on just a little bit. Inhale to the right. This time we're going to twist, turning, bringing your right hand down towards the mat. Left hand down towards the mat, right arm up. Now everybody real quick, feel that left foot. Try to straighten your right, but don't move your left hand. Now you may touch your toes, you may touch your ankle, kind of just feeling wherever that's at, and then bring yourself all the way back up. So I want you to shift your weight to the left. You are heavy in your left hip, but you haven't let go of your right foot. You're going to start to turn so that your right hand comes down. Maybe it's on the shin, maybe it's on your ankle, maybe you can bring it down onto the floor. Now with your left hips, push into that left foot to try to straighten your body back through center. So it's a big rotation, and then slowly bring yourself all the way back up. Let's do that once more. Shift your weight to the right. Rotate through your upper body. Hand can come down wherever you can touch. Your right knee is bent. Then, like you're going to shift your weight out of your right hip, stacking your hips through center. Try to rotate, keep your heart to the right, but your hips straight down. And then slowly bring yourself all the way back up over towards the left. So it's a big rotation in that upper body. And then also working through those hips, starting to warm up through our hips. Push into your left, but try to keep your right hand where it's at. And then slowly bring yourself all the way back up. Whew. Little release to those shoulders. So from here, we're going to add on just a little bit. Hands are going to come in front of you, if that's most comfortable. From here, let's go ahead and plie deep into a squat. And then I just want you to stand up and kind of shift your weight to the right. Toes come down, plie. Find your deep squat. We're going to move slow, guys. Because I want you to think, what is pulling me up? Right? Can we come back to our waist just a little bit? Think about pulling up out of that hip and then plie back down. It's not fast. Think that you're lifting up out of your hip and then plie back down. Right? So your stance doesn't have to be a crazy wide stance. Mine's, I would say, in just a comfortable second position, lifting up. And I'm focused that as I bend, I drop down, but this is going to pull me all the way back up. And plie. And lift up out of your left hip now. Good. And plie. Actually, as I'm doing this, I'm noticing that my stance is getting a little bit narrower each time. So I'm going to carefully start to widen that again, just a little bit. Let's do one more each way. Trying to keep just a little bit of that stance. A little bend and press up. Good. Now we're going to bend, find that plie. We're going to shift the weight to the right first. We're going to stay lifted on the right leg. You're going to tap the foot down and up and down and up. So now I'm going to stay lifted out of my right hip. And I'm going to find, right, my abductors. So I'm going to think almost like the little pinky toe is lifting the foot up. 3, last 2, and 1. As we come down, find that plie again. Start to shift your weight over to the left. Feel like you're lifting up out of your left hip. Touch the toes down and up. Notice that you're not actually resting that right foot, right? It's just tapping and then lifting up. You should start to feel your left hip go to work. 5, 4, 3, last 2, and 1. Let's plie back through center and carefully stand it all the way back up. So from here, I'm going to turn towards the far side of the room so that you can kind of see the back side of what I'm doing. We're going to continue to work on our plie. My stance is just a little bit narrower. When I say plie, I also mean squat. It's kind of the same thing. Think of a bend in the knees. Careful that we don't start to droop forward over our toes. But I want you to think a little bit that my hips are going to go back and my knees are going to come up. So think a little bit like that. If it's helpful, let's start with our hands actually on our hips. So I want you to feel for your pelvis. There's those ASIS points. They shine straight forward, right? That's kind of going to be where I'm going to hold. So to bring my hips back, I'm going to think a little bit that the front of the eyes of my hip crease are going to close just a little bit, right? And then I'm going to start to pull the weight of my knees up. So I'm going to think, how do I almost like levitate my feet off of the mat. Now push from your seat, press into your heels to lift it all the way back up, right? So kind of a lot of things going on here. You can think of our footwork on the carriage, on the reformer, hips back, knees up, right? Finding that clean fold in your hip crease, same thing. And then push through your heels, bring it all the way back up. Hips back, knees up. Pulling my knees up. A lot of ab work here, right? Because finding a moment really where you're holding this deep squat and then you're going to pull up from the center. And again, think hips back, knees up. Hips back, knees up. Sometimes I even wiggle my toes, see if I'm not clamping down from my toes. Now push through your seat, lift it all the way back up. Let's do that just once more. Thinking my hips are going to go back and my knees are going to pull up. Like I'm trying to pull my knees towards my armpits. And then push through your seat all the way up. All right? So we're going to move, we're going to flow, we're going to add a little bit of a leg kick. Hands are going to come in front of you again. You're going to find that plie. Maybe it's not as deep, that's okay. And as you press up, let's go ahead and kick the left leg back. And then plie. So think almost like if it were a jump board class, like you're going to strike a match, right? It's like the toes drag across the mat underneath you to kick your leg straight back, like you're going to strike a match. Add that little glute squeeze at the top, right? So think long leg kicking back. Long leg kicking straight back. Last 4. Give me 3. 2. Good. Last 1. We're going to come back to that left. Press that leg back. Hold. Pulses. Think about little lifts up. And again, lift up out of that right leg. Reaching through the toes. 4. 3. Last 2. And 1. Bring it back underneath you. Plie. Lengthen that right leg back. And lift up. 8. 7. 6. 5. 4. 3. Last 2. And 1. Pull all the way back and plie. Let's bring our hands down. And let's come back to our kind of rounded stretch. Curling that tailbone even though you're lifting the hips. Inhale to plie. And exhale, lift your stomach. Round through the back of your spine. Really focus on that lumbar spine too. Not just the shoulders, not just the space between the shoulders, but the lift of the abs. Plie. Last 1. Lift the abdominals, then slowly inhale to plie. Exhale, press your spine all the way back up, slow and controlled. Lengthen that lumbar spine. Start to pull your pelvis forward to push your spine back up. Release the shoulders at the back. Let's turn. I'm going to come back to the front of my mat, facing towards, I should say the back of my mat, facing towards the front of my mat. Let's circle our arms all the way up. Kind of take a nice big stretch. And again, lift your abdominals to pour yourself forward like you're on like a diving board and you're going to dive down into that nice cool pool. Hands are going to come down onto the mat. Let's find our plie again. Lift the abdominals, find that stretch. Now slowly start to bend your knees. Now you can find sort of like whatever knee flexion, right? We kind of talked about that at the beginning of class. I'm going to try to keep my heels as low to the ground as I can as I curl into a little bit of a ball, like a child's pose, right? I'm going to try to stretch my Achilles, lift my stomach just a little bit. Now I'm slowly going to walk my hands forward so that I'm going to drop my knees down, and I'm going to come to a tabletop. Feet flexed into the mat. We're going to, again, work our abs. So in this tabletop position, let's move through our sternum drop just a little bit, softening the heart. Feel a little bit like your scapula are going to come together at the back. Then push through the arms, widen the scapula, and lift the heart up just a little bit. So inhale to soften, and exhale to press. Inhale to soften, and exhale to press. Inhale to soften, and exhale to press. Just kind of warming up the shoulders, last 1. So stand into those arms, widening the scapula, lifting through the heart. Really feel strong from the center of your back. Flexing your feet into the mat. We're going to try to find all 10 toes. Can't quite get all of them, but we're going to work towards it. Those little pinky toes, I can't quite reach to the mat. From here, let's start to turn the wheel of our pelvis. Lift the layers of abdominals. Notice that it's not your upper back, right? Try to keep your upper back neutral. Your shoulders are stable. You're lifting the layers of abdominals. Hold. Pushing through your heels. Lift through the abs. Float your knees off. And then tap it back down. Exhale, lift. Inhale, tap. Exhale, lift. Inhale, tap. Widen your collarbones. And feel, again, hips back, knees up. Same connection, right? I want you to think that you're pulling your femur bones back into your pelvis. 4. Give me 3. Flexing through the feet. 2. Don't let your shoulders creep up to your ears. Last 1. And soften all the way down. Take a little breather if you want. Shift those hips back. Take an inhale. Exhale. Slowly wave your spine back up through center, releasing those shoulders and soften. Let's go ahead and wave through the spine. So I'm going to walk my hands slightly forward of what would be my normal tabletop. So I'm sort of like in a wide tabletop now. And what I want you to focus on is the articulation of your spine. So think a little bit like bridge, except we're facing the mat now. So go ahead and shift your weight back again, finding kind of like a really long child's pose. Now without moving your hands, maybe your hips don't go as far back. That's okay. Take your inhale here. And what I want you to focus on is turning your sit bones down towards the mat first, lifting the layers of abdominals as though you're scooting yourself forward from your seat. You're going to start to press the weight forward over your hands, wave through the spine, slide the shoulders back and down, bring your weight over your hands to lift through the heart, find a little extension. Take your inhale. Now exhale again, think your pubic bone. Scoop the wheel of your pelvis towards you. Round through the spine. I am lifting the layers of the abdominals as much as I can to keep my low back long as I wave my spine back towards my heels. My hands and my knees are not moving. It's like a slinky. I'm trying to find the movement. Reversing that direction, I'm going to wave back forward. I'm trying to find the movement between my hands and my knees. And I am moving deliberately slow because I want to feel each spinal articulation, finding that little extension. Now lift. Lift the layers. Lift the layers. Push down into the arms to round through the spine. Scoop the wheel of the pelvis towards you. It's almost like you could hover your knees off, right? Hips back, knees up. Hips back, knees up. Same connection. Last 2. Inhale. And exhale. Scoot the sit bones underneath you. I'm trying to turn my tailbone down, down, down towards the mat as I wave my heart forward. It's going to start to unfold, unfurl, and lengthen and lift up out of my shoulders. And then pull the pubic bone towards me. Woo! Bring it back. Bring it back. Slow, slow. Waving through that spine. Last one here. Inhale. And exhale, scoop the wheel of your pelvis. Slide your shoulders wide. Start to lift through your heart. Widen your collarbones. Find that baby extension. Wrapping the shoulders back and down. And then scoop. Curl your pubic bone towards your nose. Try to keep your low back long. And let's carefully come back to that tabletop position. Right foot is going to step forward. Now the left hand can come down. And the left knee can come down if that feels comfortable for you. So we're going to start with just some good base of support, both right and left leg, and then just the left hand. Pull your right hand to your right shoulder again. Now notice that you're pushing up out of your left shoulder, and you're going to reach that arm up. Take a big stretch, and then close it off. Last 2. Think almost like a telescope, like you're kind of unfolding the span of your arms. Try to lift up out of your left shoulder and close it off. So here again, we're working our left waist. Pull the right knee towards your heart. See if you can find your right adductor turn on, and then close it all the way off. Hands can stay along beside you. Lift your heart forward, drop the hips down just a little bit, and then lift the abs, press it back. We're going to flow a little bit between a hip flexor and a hamstring stretch. And scoot. And lift forward. And pull. Last two. And pull. And last one, lift forward. And carefully pull that back. Right leg comes back. Step your left leg forward. Right hand comes down. And then pull your left hand to your left shoulder. Try to lift up out of your right shoulder as you stretch the left arm up. Big circle, close it all the way off. Hug the left knee towards your chest. Careful it doesn't start to fan out. Try to keep it parallel and close it off. Last one, drop that right shoulder back and down. Careful it's not creeping up toward your ears, but keep the arms wide. Shoulders back and down and close it all the way off. Both hands come down onto the mat. Drop your hips forward, find a hip flexor stretch. Pull your hips back, find a hamstring stretch. Ooh, my left hamstring is always tighter than my right, so I'm really going to try to pull that left hip back to open up just a little bit more. Last two. Inhale to float. And last one. Carefully shift back through center. Go ahead and bring both knees underneath you and shift your weight back. Let's come to seated with our legs reaching forward. So from here, legs are going to be nice and long. I'd like to move right into our seesaw. Keep the range of motion small if we're still kind of warming up and you're kind of feeling out all of the edges, right? Finding your range of motion. Let's reach those arms straight forward. Visualize a little bit, someone's like pulling you up towards the ceiling, right? From the top of your head. Inhale. Now exhale, here's your pelvis again. Turn the wheel of your pelvis and feel a little bit like you're sliding your legs away from you as you're pulling your pubic bone back. As you start to lower through your waist, start to bend the knees, start to curl the wheel of your pelvis and start to lift your hips up, finding your seesaw. And exhale as you lay your spine down. Feel like someone's got your hands now and they're pulling that in the opposite direction. Start to lift as your hips lower and lengthen your legs out. Start to curl up, up, over your sit bones and stretch forward. There's that hamstring stretch again. Inhale. Now exhale as you pour yourself backwards. Visualize you're not coming up. You're laying back and down. I always picture melting butter on toast here, right? You want to spread the butter on the toast. You don't want it to melt in one spot, right? So think like you're spreading your body long on the mat and you're really reaching it in all directions, lengthening out of your center, right? You don't want that chunk of butter to just sit in the center. Inhale. And exhale as you pour yourself backwards. Can you check in with your shoulders real quick? Keep them soft. Keep them soft. Keep them soft. And pull and visualize very much that you're working from your waist. Exhale, laying the spine down, reaching through your quads, curling all the way up. Ooh, last one here. Lifting up, up, up and over. Just like that dive off the diving board. Inhale. Exhale, pour yourself back and down. Visualize you're kind of trying to stay close to your body as you spread yourself on the mat. From here, bending the knees, curling your hips all the way up, we're going to hold. So our hands are behind us. If this is not for you today, it is a more challenging base of support. You can always bring them back down along beside you. Today, I think I'm going to lift them up. I'm going to feel for the spread of my shoulders, and I'm going to try to balance very much right on the spread of my shoulders. Push through your left foot, pull your right leg to tabletop, and place it back down. Now, I'm going to try to keep my waist perfectly still. And I'm going to visualize that I'm floating my knee up towards the ceiling, as though it's light as a feather and it's pulled up without moving my hips. Last one each way, left, and last one right. Both feet come down. Feel like somebody's grabbed your hands. They're going to reach them in the far direction as you lay your spine down. Try to widen your collarbones. Tuck your tailbone. Feel for the big toe metatarsal inside of your heel plate. Keep your back long, long, long. I'm still lowering. I haven't touched yet there. There's the spread of my pelvis and my release. Whew. Hands are going to come all the way down along beside us. Let's play again just a little bit with some counterbalance. Bend at your elbows so that your fingertips are up towards the ceiling. Let's real quick, everybody relax those shoulders back and down and feel a little bit like the back of your tricep is trying to wrap towards the floor underneath you. So your collarbones are wide, both feet firmly planted. Find your inhale. Exhale, you're going to start to curl the wheel of your pelvis. You're going to slowly lengthen the eyes of your hip crease as you stand into your heels to lift your hips. Now from here, can you push down through your elbows just a little bit? Does that turn on your triceps just a little bit? Find your left foot, float your right leg to tabletop position. Find your right shoulder, float your left arm up towards the ceiling. From here, right leg, left arm is long, and then bend back to the beginning. Inhale to reach, and exhale, pull. So I'm feeling for my anchor points, right? I'm feeling for my left big toe metatarsal inside of my heel plate. Do you feel your left adductor, right? That's your inside leg line. I'm wrapping my right shoulder back and down. Last three. And I'm, again, working my waist. 2. And last one. Carefully bring your left elbow down. Right foot comes down and slowly lay your spine all the way back down. Let it release. Whew. All right, so that was one side. Let's see what the other side feels like. We may or may not be as connected with the opposite side of our body. So pushing through your feet, wrapping those shoulders back and down, start to curl the wheel of your pelvis, and feel very much like you're sliding your knees away from you. Stretching from the knee to your hip crease, opening the front of your body. Now everybody feel for your right big toe metatarsal inside of your heel plate. Float your left leg to tabletop position. Feel for your left shoulder. Connect, wrap it back and down, reach your right arm up. Take your inhale to lengthen, and exhale, bend. Inhale to lengthen, and exhale, bend. Now, I'm focusing actually my gaze on one spot. I'm not looking around, but through the periphery, I'm watching my arms and my legs, and I'm lengthening, trying to hit the same spot each time. 3, and I really feel this in my right glute today. 2, and last one. Back up, bend that right elbow down, place your left foot down, reconnect through your center, and lay your spine all the way back down. Keep it wide, and release it all the way down. Let's take a little stretch for our bottom real quick. Right foot figure 4s over the left. Pull the leg towards you. And everybody just rock just a little bit. Just a little bit of a scoop. Kind of pulling your shin and your knees towards you just a little bit. Last one. Now from here, you're gently going to coax the weight of your hips and your legs over towards the left. So much so that your right foot is going to come down onto the ground, almost like it's like a kickstand now. Open your right arm out. I'm going to gently kind of coax my upper body to the right, and I am going to try to release my hips. So I'm realizing that I'm holding them a little bit, like I'm like clenching. So I'm going to try to just like relax. Try to feel like I'm not, don't hold the body in a position, but just take a moment, breathe. Now to help yourself back up, again, I want you to think of the scoop in the wheel of your pelvis. So start to think a little bit that you're going to pull the knees towards your chest, curl the weight of your hips back through center, and then release the left foot back down. Right foot comes down, left leg figure fours. Bring both hands behind the right thigh, gently lifting, pulling the knees and the shins towards your heart. Curling, just a couple curls. Can you feel for the spread of your low back and maybe the weight of your floating 12th rib down onto the mat? And last one. Carefully coax the weight of your hips and your legs over towards the right. That left foot is going to come down, and maybe you look towards the left and try to release the hips. Don't hold on to anything. Just kind of let the position open them up. Take an inhale. On your next exhale, visualize a little bit. You're going to pull the knees towards your nose first as they come up through center, and then carefully drop the foot down and release, and both feet come down. From here, let's move into a little bit of rolling like a ball. And I don't really like this exercise, but I feel like we should do it because I don't like it, which means maybe some of us should practice it, right? That's what I always try to think a little bit, man, if I find this hard or if I don't like this, maybe we could all try to loosen up a little bit and learn to enjoy it together. So legs come to tabletop position and reach your arms up towards the ceiling. Find your inhale. Exhale, deflate the ribs. Lift head, neck, chest, curl towards your quads. Let's bring both legs into our chest and bring your hands on top of your shins. Now, we have been working a scoop for all class so far, right? So pull the wheel of your pelvis towards you and feel very much like you're like in a roll-up bug position, right? You are curled into a ball. Don't lose your ball, right? So don't let your limbs suddenly start floundering and letting go, but really feel like you're scooping, and continuous loop of energy keeps it in that circular motion. Gentle rocking here. You're going to start to curl forward, but your legs aren't going to let you unfold, right? And then you're going to start to curl back, forward, back, and start to get, yes, it is a little momentum, but try to control it and feel for that gentle articulation through your spine again, right? Don't hit any kunks. And I realized I'm closing my eyes because I swear that helps me find each moment. Woo, there, that was a bad one. I did a huge kunk. So I'm going to try it again. I'm going to really keep the scoop and try to massage. There we go. Massage my spine. Let's do two. Woo, good. Finding that control. Almost there. Last one. Oh, that was a bad one. Leah's going to do it again. Curling up. Leah's losing her ball. This is why I don't like it. Oh, there we go. All the way up. Oh, and soften. Take a breather. Good work. Nice job. So let's flip and let's work on some prone exercises and extend the front of our body after some of that. So carefully lay yourself down onto your mat, all the way down. And let's reach our arms forward in front of us. Release those shoulders back and down. And I'm going to try to lift the layers of abdominals just a little bit, again with abs, right? But in my mind, I'm trying to keep my low back long. So this area that we just extended, I'm going to try to like lift the front to turn my tailbone down towards my heels just a little bit. And from here, let's start to lift the top of our head, maybe a little bit of our heart. Not crazy, right? Not a huge extension. And I want everybody to push down into the pinky side of their hand and the back of their arms just a little bit, right? Do we feel our triceps turn on just a little bit? Try to melt the shoulders back and down. From here, feel a little bit heavy through your left arm and start to float your right arm off. Right? There's that counterbalance again, that kind of counterweight. Right hand comes down, left arm floats off. Now focus on the melting sensation as we alternate of your shoulders back and down. And I just noticed that my pelvis was starting to rock. So I'm going to try to kind of anchor it just a little bit by lifting my abdominals. So I'm picturing my abdominals are holding it still as I sort of alternate. I just got a visual of like canoeing, right? And you put your paddle in one side, right? You do a stroke down one side. So as we lift the right arm, careful you don't shift your canoe all the way to the left, right? And then as you lift the left, careful you don't shift all the way to the right. But visualize, right, you're floating down a river, gentle, like a nice, beautiful kayak or canoe, and you want to go straight. So you're lifting right and left, finding equal balance, not pushing your direction too far one way. And last one, ending even. And soften and release. Whew. So bring your hands along beside you. Let's take a little bit of a child's pose. Stretch that low back. If my analogy derailed us and kept us there a little longer than what your body wanted. So take a moment to kind of open up. Take a little breath. And exhale. Let's again wave through the spine just a little bit. So you're going to curl the wheel of your pelvis. Start to lift the layers of abdominals. Stretch your heart forward over your hands, finding that tabletop. Bring your right elbow down and your left to meet it. And walk your elbows just slightly forward of your shoulders, right? So it's almost like a baby downward dog. You're going to shift your weight forward, dropping your hips. Find a little bit of a lift. Now, what I want you to focus on is that the elbows are pushing down. So Lisa, walk your elbows forward. There you go, yep. So everybody's elbows should be underneath their shoulders. And I want you to think a little bit that the elbows are pushing so much, your heart is floating up. And take a moment to really extend the line of your chest forward towards the wall in front of you. Let's work our legs just a little bit. Now, careful that you don't just pinch your low back again, right? But lift the layers of abdominals and feel long in the low back. Your right leg, your right heel is going to kick your bottom. 1, 2, and then extend. Left heel, 1, 2, and extend. Now I want you to stretch the front of your quad. And I'm doing that by visualizing my knee is lengthening towards the far side of the room as my heel is curling back towards my bottom, right? So it's kind of two different directions we're working on. Let's do 2, 2. Lift up out of your shoulders, 2, 2. And last one, each 1, 2. Soften. And 1, 2. And soften. Take one last little extension. Reach to the heart. Melt those shoulders back and down. Now slowly start to lay yourself down. I'm going to wing my elbows out to come all the way down. Reach your arms forward again. We're going to come right back to our little bit of our prone reach, and we're going to add rotation this time. Melt through the shoulders, start to lift through the heart, head, neck, chest, reaching forward just a little bit. Turn the wheel of your pelvis down to lift the layers of abdominals. Float your right arm up and start to follow the right hand as it circles back towards your right heel, as though you're reaching, but try to lift up out of that left shoulder. There you go. Nice. Good, Lisa. And then back through center. Right hand comes down, left arm floats up. So you're not collapsing in your right shoulder. You're actually lifting up out of it at the same time that you're circling and reaching the arm. So think of those very first rotation exercises we did standing. And back through center. Left arm lifts and rotate. Can you lift the layers of abdominals? Picture that canoe again. Don't shift across the surface of the water, but turn. Visualize your body still going straight. You're just looking back behind you. So hold your pelvis still. Last one, right. Reaching through those legs. And center. And last one, left. Big rotation. Carefully soften all the way down. Hands come along beside you. Slowly press yourself up. Curl the wheel of your pelvis. And again, let's stretch. So if this knee flexion is too much for you, Find a little bit of a stretch that feels good. Maybe that means your hips stay lifted and you just turn the wheel of your pelvis. That's totally fine, right? That's a great option as well. Trying to lengthen that lumbar spine. Carefully bringing your hips down, shifting your weight off to one side. Let's come to seated. Let's just take one nice easy breath, kind of relaxing through the body. Let's feel heavy even into the base of our pelvis, like we're really relaxed down into the mat underneath us. Nice steady inhale and exhale. Let's do that just once more. And exhale. Thank you so much. That's class. Thank you, everybody.